everybody. For those of you that don't know, I have type 1 diabetes. Now, what does that mean? It means my pancreas no longer makes insulin. All people that are diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, not type 2 diabetes, but type 1 diabetes, all have their pancreas has shut down and no longer produces insulin. Insulin is that little thing in your body that helps manage and use the sugars from foods that you eat that are all floating around in your bloodstream and helps convert them into energy within your cells of your body. So that means I have to get my insulin from somewhere else since my pancreas no longer makes it. So that means I have to either take syringe injections or an insulin pump. I'll get to that a little bit later. Now, type 2 diabetes, which is the number one thing that advertising companies that you see and hear lately in today's media are talking about, is type 2 diabetes. So when they say, this can cure diabetes, they're usually talking about type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes can be controlled and managed through diet, exercise, oral medications, lots of different methods other than having to inject yourself with insulin. Type 2 diabetics, their body still makes a tiny bit of insulin. Their body just can't use it very well, so it kind of needs help to use what insulin their body still makes. Now, keeping that in mind, type 2 diabetics, if they don't take care of themselves, it can progress into something that's very similar to type 1 diabetes. So if you know a type 2 diabetic out there, or you have type 2 diabetes, take care of yourself. Shots suck. So, with all that said and done, I found a list of questions online and created a couple of my own. So here is my diabetes tag. If you have diabetes or you know somebody with diabetes, feel free to do this as well. So let's go ahead and get started. So question 1, when was I diagnosed? I was diagnosed in the year 1986 when I was just 6 years old. We had just come back from the World Expo in Vancouver, British Columbia, and I was about this big around. I was a scrawny little thing, and I believe it was my first grade teacher was the one that told my parents, maybe you should go and take her to a doctor. I really don't think something is right. Because I was constantly drinking water, going to the bathroom, I was hungry all the time. And those are some major signs that could indicate that one has diabetes. So, question 2, insulin pump or shots? Currently, I'm on an insulin pump. But for the majority of my life as a diabetic, I've taken insulin injections. I have enough scar tissue from insulin injections to make your head spin. Mostly just because I ended up taking injections in the same spot over and over and over again, and long story short, I have built up scar tissue from that. But now I'm on an insulin pump, which I can show you tucked to my pocket. But this is my insulin pump. It's by the Animus company, and I'll be actually replacing this one next year because it's at the end of its cycle, I guess you could say. So currently I am on an insulin pump, and I have been using an insulin pump for the last 6 years. I got on an insulin pump after much coaxing from my doctor and my OBGYN when I got pregnant with my second child. So those of you with diabetes that think you can't have kids, you can have kids too. Just be sure to take good care of yourself. I was much more lenient to the idea of getting on an insulin pump with my second child, because my blood sugars weren't that great with my first kid, and I had some complications. So, next question. Moving right along. What kind of insulin do I use? Currently, I am using Humulog. It's a fast-acting insulin. So usually right after I take a bolus, which is an injection or a unit of insulin from my pump, within about 5 minutes it starts working. There's other ones that are long-acting insulins that you can take an injection of them and they will last for a really long time. I used to take those when I was on injections only, but now I only have one kind of insulin, and I think that's great. Next question. I get asked this a lot, and I got asked this a lot as a kid, and it drove me crazy. Can I have sugar? Yes. Yes, I can have sugar. Do I want to have sugar? Not really. I don't crave it. Most things I've been used to drinking diet sodas the majority of my life, so I don't really crave a lot of sweet things. So yes, I can have sugar. Do I want to always have sugar? Not really. But anytime I eat anything, be it sugar, carbohydrates, fruits, whatever, everything breaks down into a basic sugar. And I have to take insulin for it. So more sugar, more insulin. Less sugar, less insulin. It's kind of a no-brainer. Next question. What's the highest and lowest blood sugar I've ever had? The highest number, I actually don't know. My blood glucose meter, if it goes much above 600, it says high. It's very cordial. It says, hi, your blood sugar is too high. I guess you could say it's the nicest thing it could say, other than your blood sugar is too high and it needs to get down now. But, so somewhere over the 600 range. Doesn't happen very often. I actually can't remember the last time that it was over 600. And the lowest my blood sugar's ever been was 19. It was when I was a teenager, and I can remember the day, and it's amazing that I was conscious. With blood sugar that low, I should have been flat on the ground, unconscious, having the paramedics pumping sugar water into me. But I was conscious. Who knows? I don't know. On to the next question. Do I have any family members with diabetes? None that I know of. At least none that I know of with type 1. I think I've got an uncle, or great uncle that had type 2 diabetes. But like I said, type 2 diabetes and type 1 diabetes are two separate things. So my having type 1 diabetes is not genetics. There's no way I could have prevented getting type 1 diabetes. I wish there was, but that's the way that goes. So I guess I'm special, because I'm the only one in my family that I know of that has type 1 diabetes. Scariest diabetic moment. Passing out at work when I was pregnant with my first child and having the paramedics called on me. It's the first time I've ever had to have the paramedics called on me. And it was embarrassing and scary because I had to go to the hospital, I had to go to the ER. And it's the first time that I ever had to do that, and I was 22 at the time. And after having diabetes for, I think, 16 plus years at that time. Never having the paramedics called on me was pretty amazing. So, yeah, that sucked a lot and scared the crap out of me. And for my last question, before I ramble too much more, this I got asked a lot as a child as well, and it makes me think that people have the dumb. Seriously. The question is, can you catch diabetes? No. No, you can't. You can't catch it. It won't rub off on you. If you have a friend that's diabetic, you can't, it is not a transmitted disease. For some people, it is genetic, in their genetic disposition to develop diabetes. For me, fluke in nature, no idea. But no, you cannot catch diabetes. I was asked this so much as a kid from people that were afraid of me and afraid that their kid would get diabetes, or kids that were afraid they would get it. So, no. So stupid. So stupid. So lastly, before I ramble too much more about my diabetes and crazy situations involving my diabetes, I wanted to tell all of you, if you know a diabetic, give them a hug this month and say, I am proud of you. Being diabetic is hard. It is a life-changing event. There is no going back. Currently, there is no cure. But thanks to the wonders of science, they are finding triggers for the cause of diabetes, and they're looking for ways to turn that trigger off. So, and advances in medications, treatments, all sorts of stuff. So, if you know a diabetic, go up to them, give them a hug, say, I'm proud of you, and yeah. Until next time, and feel like rambling at you, I'll see you all next time. Love your faces.